So just to get started, this project we started in 2012. It's got a little bit of a history that I'd like to tell you about. We've got a new Water for Life, a new shared governance approach to water management in the province of Alberta, and I'm really excited because I believe fully in good public policy development comes from the people, for the people, and unless we're sitting around the table to develop management plans together, we're not going to get anywhere where we need to be in terms of implementation of those plans. And so I think we have a pretty good model, and I've been involved with the WPACs here for a number of years. I think I'm 8 years with the BRBC, and 6 years on the board with the Bow River Basin Council, and been involved in helping to found the Southeast Alberta Watershed Alliance as one of our, there's Bob at the back of the room, as one of our WPACs in Alberta. So I've been walking alongside the WPACs and the challenges that we've been having to meet the big mandate that is Water for Life in the province. And so back in 2008, we did a WPAC needs assessment. We had some sponsorship through Alberta Water Smart and the Alberta Water Portal. And we did a little bit of a round robin, and we did a big workshop at one of these WPAC events with all of our WPACs to talk about, well, what do you need? What kind of resources do you need to meet your goals and your mandate as watershed planning and advisory councils in Alberta? And so we compiled the results and we said, here you go. Now you have something you can take to the government, you can take to your partners, and you can say, this is what we need. Give us the tools, give us the resources. But everybody's so busy. 11 WPACs now. Everybody's so busy in our own WPACs, we don't have the time to say, as a concerted voice, this is what we need. And so that really didn't go anywhere. It sort of sat there and said, yep, we know what our needs are, but there's nobody out there that's going to jump on and fulfill those. I've also had the pleasure of working with the Alberta Water Council on the Water for Life Implementation Review Committee for a number of years. So I've seen the big sector approach, 26 sectors on the Alberta Water Council, looking out and saying, what do we need collectively in the province of Alberta to get the job done? And again, we've got a whole long list of needs, and they are information, collaboration, resource needs, and we'll get a bit more into that. Moving from words to action, the watershed stewardship surveys, and again, the implementation review that we've just completed. Each time we go back out to the community, we keep hearing the same thing. The same needs are being expressed. So as you know, every watershed is unique. Everybody has a different makeup in their capacities, their leadership. The courage of leadership is different in every community. The capacity and the technical requirements to manage those watersheds are different in every community. And at the same time, we have loads of resources in the province. Cows and fish, the Alberta Stewardship Network, everybody is doing something to help us be better stewards and to help us manage. And there's a lot of work that's being done to coordinate research, to get the research done for the watershed groups, for communities, for municipalities, conservation and efficiency. There's a lot of work that's happening out there, but it's kind of all over the place. So there's a bit of a lack of connection. So there's a watershed group in the south that's doing some really great work on conservation and riparian management. And there's a watershed group in the north that's looking to do some conservation and riparian management. Yes, their watersheds are different, but they've got success stories to share. How do they share those success stories? So we started the Toolkit Pilot back in January of 2012. Basically, we put a concept plan together that said, okay, these are some of the needs that we see in the watershed groups to meet Water for Life. These are some of the great people that are working in water management in the province. These are the leaders. These are the people that know what's happening on the ground. They got their finger on the pulse. So we put together an advisory committee. We looked out the window and said, who's out there that we don't want to take from the watershed stewardship groups, and we don't want to take money out of WPACs. We don't want to compete with those that we want to service with resources. So who out there can help us build this as a pilot? So we secured some funding, and then we went out the door, and some of you probably participated in some of our regional workshops that we hosted in 2012. We had great partnership support from our WPACs that hosted us. or municipalities that hosted us. We had professionals that we brought in from industry, from academia, and we used those opportunities because people said to us, don't just say you're going to do something and send us a survey and ask us more questions. Come to our community, come north, come all the way north, and don't just stay for half a day. Come and actually engage. Don't waste our time and travel. Come and give us the resources we need while you ask us the questions. So that's the approach that we took. So we gave resources, we gave information and capacity building opportunities and networking opportunities, and we asked questions. How do you want to learn? What issues are important to you? How can we make this program more accessible to you? And this is what we learned. So we engaged, it was probably over 100 people by the time we got down to Medicine Hat, and hosted a watershed hydrology and risk workshop in January of this year. That was our last Toolkit workshop. We engaged many communities, many community leaders. What's really unique is when you sit down at a table in a learning experience, this is an issue that's important to you. You're going to spend a half a day sitting and learning about that issue, but you're going to learn as much from the people that are coming to guest present and host that seminar as you are from the people that sit around the table. And so when we say we're hosted by a community or a WPAC, we're hosted, but we invite all the folks that have an interest in that, and they learn from each other as much as they learn from the content that's being delivered, which is very important. So here's our, when you say what the heck is a watershed toolkit, here's where we're at in the process right now. We've already done this circle once, gone all the way around in 2012 in our pilot year. We learned a lot from everybody that we engaged. We said, okay, we need some fine tuning. We kept hearing, you're building a toolkit, what is a toolkit? Let's get specific. Let's not try to meet everybody's needs all at once. Let's be clear on who's going to benefit the most with the limited amount of resources we have. Don't over-engage the WPACs. Don't over-engage the municipalities. Bring them the resources that they need and collaborate those resources effectively. So we've gone through the cycle. We've done an analysis of the 2012 feedback and the results. We put together a plan for 2013. It is a very modest plan given the amount of resources that we have today. We've looked out, it's a very small, less than $100,000 for the year of 2013 to build. Again, it's curriculum development, it's seminars, and there's infrastructure behind that, and I'll get into that in a minute. So here we are in March. Here's where we will be in September and getting back into the coordination and delivery. So here's the what is it? What are we talking about? This is what we've learned. We've refined this down. We didn't start here. We started somewhere similar to what you see on the screen right now. We might not have the right name yet. Is it Watershed Resources? Is it a toolkit? Watershed Toolkit fit when we did the application for funding for, I think it was a Shell fueling change. It was an August day, and I said, we've got a concept plan. Let's see if we can get some funding for it. What are we asking for funding for? What's going to be catchy for our funders? Watershed Toolkit fit. Is it the right name for today? We're not quite sure yet. But we do learning seminars with professionals. We do case studies. We look at the case studies of successes across the watershed and translate that into learning opportunities. We are now doing video. We have a full day Water in Canada's West that looks at water reuse, municipal water management, and water conservation and policy. We also have a full half day on watershed hydrology and risk. So that translates into 7 learning modules now that we can share online using webinar based. So the 25-minute chunk of sitting down with your speaker, and 25 minutes where a speaker can sit at their desk with their computer hosting a webinar to answer questions. So we can now deliver these remotely, and we can continue to deliver that content because we recorded it when we delivered it the first time. So yes, we are building an online learning system. So basically any water leader or decision maker in a community that wants to learn more about conservation efficiency can take a conservation efficiency track. Every time we get some new learning modules on conservation efficiency, it can be added to their program when they finish. Maybe we'll have a certificate program in 2015. But for now, it's basically a learning track through a learning system. We have built a network with peer support and learning tools so that anybody can go in, build a profile, start blogging if they want to, link their social media blogs with it, find other leaders in other watersheds in this network, ask them questions. Anybody can post an event, anybody can post articles, anybody can upload resources and share that with other water leaders in the water community. So it is an interactive network. People ask me, I think it was at the Milk River WPAC Summit, they asked, well, can this be available, can anybody crowdsource solutions? Yes, you can put your ideas up there. You can list, instead of doing the traditional surveys, you want to canvass the whole watershed communities or specific groups, you can create those and you can start crowdsourcing for stories and you can start crowdsourcing for solutions to ideas and issues. So take you through a real quick tour. The directed ideation is a term that our technical director came up with. This is part of the crowdsourcing language. I can talk to you folks more about that. Basically, it's the new evolution of public consultation is deliberative, giving people the information that they need before you ask them the questions. And we've developed a process that's combined online tools and in-person education seminars so that we can actually get to some of those answers. Here's a quick tour for those of you that haven't been to our site yet. So we do have, you see the Watershed Weekly? I should tell you, this is free. Anybody can create a Twitter account, all the people you follow, and create a free newspaper. We just happen to do that. That's specific to water and watershed in Alberta and Canada. So everybody that we follow on the Watershed Toolkit turns into an actual weekly newspaper. So it takes the headlines, you can read the whole paper, and it's got obviously different categories. It's kind of interesting. This is the Ideation Network. So you can see here, you can see all the ideas, top ideas, most commented, add an idea. Again, it's totally interactive. When we designed the site, we didn't originally design this as we want to build a website technology for the water community. We had over 200 resources that we wanted to see that were relevant to the water community. Resources such as case studies, peer-reviewed information, published information pieces that people had spent a lot of time and energy and money on developing that weren't being shared. And so we had a whole inventory of these and said, how do we share that with people? So we found a way to do that in putting it on this network site that is interactive so people could actually start to share resources, comment on them, and add their own resources if they want to. And so that's how we set up the site, and that's why we actually started it. It wasn't to do this, but once we built the whole social network side of it, we said, wow, what an amazing tool to have to build that peer and network support for water management in the community. So you can see here, build a category. You can add an idea. This is where you would go to crowdsource ideas. Add an idea and then share it. Here's an example of our inventory. You can see you can search by basin, you can search by keyword, and you can search by category. So for right now, these resources are fairly limited. We pulled this together with the help of the University of Alberta Centre for Sustainable Rural Communities with a small grant from the Alberta Rural Development Network. We hired a master's student to pull together all the water management resources for municipal water management across Alberta. A little bit more focused on rural, but there's lots of good municipal examples as well. And so we have about 230 resources, and people are continuing to add these, albeit slowly, but people are contributing to the resources that are on the site and sharing them through the site. Here's just an example of what you'll see if you actually click on one of those resources. This is about the depth that you'll go into those resources with links to further information. And again, they're categorized by basin, categorized by resource. So here's an example of a resource that's up there for the Environmental Farm Plan. You can see, and I just highlighted this, it's been read 137 times since it's been on the site. This was a pilot year, so we haven't even gone out with this project yet. So it's not too bad. But again, there's the social share, related related items, and leave a comment and leave a message. And here's just a glimpse of the social side of things, so you can see people are joining. We have, I just pulled this down yesterday, so we have about 183 folks on the site today. Not a lot of activity in the network. It's up to you folks. I mean, really, we will drive it, and when we have a dedicated staff person by June, we'll be able to push this out and invite more participation. So I talked a little bit about how we went out, we gave information, we built capacity, we delivered some of these programs. Some of them were delivered in 2012, but basically this list came from an issue. We went to the regions and said, what are your biggest issues? And we developed seminars and we delivered those. While we delivered those, we canvassed for more issues. These are the seminars that were requested in 2012 for us to deliver in 2013. It's ambitious. So yes, we're looking for partners and we're looking for dedicated people to help us. It's very simple. We find resource professionals in the community. So you're an academic, you're in industry, you know this content inside and out. We want to give you an opportunity to share your knowledge. And so we bring guests in to help us deliver these in communities, and we ask communities to host them. Give us a space, provide some coffee, send 2 or 3 people, right? So that's kind of how we start the ball going. Here's an example of one that we've created that's in direct response to the WPAC needs assessment. This is governance essentials for watershed groups. So what I've done is I've gone out into the professional community and I found somebody that is a lawyer and she has an MBA and she wants to teach board governance. I said, but you don't know anything about WPACs, so why don't we co-create a course and we'll start to wade ourselves into what does it look like for watershed groups in Alberta in terms of governance, and can we turn this into a team building opportunity as well, so that we can do team building and talk about fiduciary responsibilities as a board and board governance in a workshop. So we're going to be piloting this one right here in Red Deer. I think April 29th be our first one, and we'll learn from that, and we'll continuous improvement as part of our model. So, and here's some of the ones that we've got confirmed, and again, those are on the little cards that are on the table. Traditional ecological knowledge, and this is that come north, come all the way north and don't waste our time. And so SEMA has offered to host a 2-day workshop on traditional ecological knowledge and potentially use this as an opportunity to inform a policy framework for Alberta. So this will be a 2-day, and we are at this point looking for speakers and populating that, and it'll be in June sometime. So we haven't got all the details finalized yet, but watch for that. But again, we're good at this. We can ask people to come, we can bring professionals that can develop curriculum and host and facilitate, and let's start to build capacity, let's start to learn and share knowledge. So here's our 2013 advisory committee. Just a quick introduction. We've got some of these folks have been engaged in our first meeting, Keener meeting in January, and then we were hosting another one in March that just didn't kind of go through, so our next meeting will be in June. And again, it's these folks really just, when we develop the concept plan and the business plan, and we say, okay, we're going to go out and we're going to do this, just checking in, making sure, are we on track here? And you can see that the types of the organizations that we're involving are really just sort of making sure we're on track, because these guys are involved in many aspects of stewardship and water management. Here's an example of some of the potential collaborators. It's not an exhaustive list, but again, we go there together, we get there faster, and we can go further, right? So we're really looking forward to reaching out to a lot of different organizations. Some of these we already have confirmed, and who's not on there is the Alberta Water and Wastewater Operators Association as well. And so we're in conversations with all these folks about how do we work together and collaborate so that we can deliver an effective program for Alberta and make sure that we've got the resources. So consider it a resource center